everybody, welcome back to Off the Wall. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sol.
I'm Bogz.
Holy crap. Can you believe it? It's all three of us on one video. Man.
I know.
It's been forever. We're here to talk about Invincible Season 2, Episode 2, which was titled, and I just had it, and I scrolled away from it, which was titled, it's in about 6 hours, I lose my virginity to a fish. That is the actual title of the episode. And oof. I wish I'd read the title before I watched the episode because I feel like I would have been better prepared for what was coming. This one pretty much picks up a little bit of time after the first episode. A couple of weeks, it seems like, is where we got the graduation. Mark and friends are graduating. He is trying to find the balance again in balancing being a superhero and being Mark Grayson. We can see that obviously his relationship with Amber is beginning to change because now it's more of where his friends are like, he's going to be late for his own graduation. And Amber's like, yeah, he'll be here. But we also see that Mark's mom is having a very hard time, as is Eve, who we didn't really see in episode 1. And we spent a lot of time with her this time and her family, and we see that Eve doesn't have everything figured out quite as well as she did. We also got some starting to get some payoff with the Martian stuff from season 1. Invincible, from what I know from people who have read the comics, have said it's a series that pays off every setup, and we're starting to see some of more payoffs coming through from season 1, stuff that never got rectified. So, Bogz, we'll start with you. How did you feel about episode 2, season 2 overall?
Yeah, I did enjoy it. It's obviously catching up with all the characters still, a lot of the side characters, of course. And yeah, just filling in the gaps from how the first season ended with, like, as you said, Mark, he's on summer vacation now. How's his summer going to look? But obviously, superheroes don't have holidays or take breaks. So we're seeing that play out. And yeah, the situation with Eve and her family, and obviously his mother as well, Mark's mother, that is, and just all the other superheroes, even Immortal and Cecil, catching up with them. So it was just more of an extension of the first episode, really. Nothing shocking, groundbreaking, too surprising, nothing edge of the seat really on this episode, but I did enjoy it.
And Sol, what about you? How'd you feel about this one?
I enjoyed this episode. I would say that I enjoyed the premiere episode more. I wasn't here to review with you guys, but this was a solid Invincible episode, and I like that this season already we're getting more into the relationship of Mark Grayson and his mom, and like the way his mom is dealing with the aftermaths of season 1, and she's not doing too good. And just seeing how everything's playing off, seeing some of the payoff from season 1, it's like, okay, I can understand what's going on, where we're going from here. So I enjoyed it.
It's interesting how much Mark and his mom are. I like the episode too, by the way. Mark and his mom are handling what happened with Nolan at the end of season 1 almost like a death, because that's how they're having to pass it off in the public eye, is that Nolan died, and having to come to grips with the realizations. We had the moment where she was trying to sell the house, where the she's not your pet moment with the douchebag. Clearly that is something that, and it was alluded to in the last episode as well, of like that. I mean, as it would, that hit her hard. It's not so much Nolan being evil or leaving that she's having a hard time coming to terms with. It's that she meant so little to him, that it was a trivial kind of love. Bogz, as far as how they were handling that with this episode, we know the show's playing the long game. They said they're talking to do like 8 seasons, I think, to do what Robert Kirkman said recently, to do the entire comic book run. As far as what they're setting up for, like with his mom and his relationship with his mom and their relationship with everything dealing with what happened with Omni-Man. How do you, because I know you like most people, you're like, yeah, Omni-Man was pretty cool until he became evil and killed everybody. Then not so much. But how you feeling about their handling of the emotional weight of season 1?
I actually still think he's pretty cool despite killing everyone. I don't know if that makes me a bad guy, but he just is. But yeah, I mean, the way they're doing it is that it seems like his mother, well, Mark has some form of release. Like he has to handle his grief and pain and everything by doing his superhero, his action stuff. Is he gets to fight and do things like that and be a hero and like have that other side and split personality. He even has a girlfriend you can talk to and things like that. His mother doesn't seem to have that, or what she seems to need is just to sit down and talk to her son, and he's not giving her kind of that time that she needs. He's not giving her that release because she can't really go to anyone else but from maybe like Cecil or some other kind of random people she knows from like the superhero kind of world. But like unlike him, she doesn't have a release, and we saw that kind of frustration with her. But obviously, because we saw that Nolan has such inner belief in what he's doing, he doesn't care about the ramifications for his others, or he kind of cares in like his own weird, kind of cruel way, where him saving or sparing his son in that moment in the first season is like his care, his love, I suppose. But and we're just seeing all the consequences of that and how they're handling it. And I do like the how it's just like kind of left his kind of loved ones to pick up the pieces and seeing how they're going and going through their daily lives. And he has obviously Mark's picked up this almost like uncle slash father figure in Cecil, and we see both sides of that as well. So we see the kind of gray area of all the characters, and where Cecil's kind of seemingly offering him kind of a path or a route to, you do his superhero stuff, but also handle his frustrations, almost like putting an arm around him, but also kind of grooming him as well to be kind of this ultra badass superhero that he can use it and set up when he needs to. We saw with the whole Atlantis stuff, which I quite liked as well. He kind of half tells him that, or what he thought was his mission, and it turned out to be something completely different where he's fighting for his life. So it just all ramifications come from what happened from Nolan Omni-Man, really his cruelty, and in this weird superhero world, and they're all picking up the pieces. So I do like how they're kind of handling it. I know it does seem, kind of cruel, but I like to, because he's obviously going to come back at some point as well, and how they're going to handle that. So I suppose that they're kind of going to mend each other, Mark and his mother and stuff, but then it's all going to come crashing down when Omni-Man comes and destroys everything.
Yeah, which I think is fairly inevitable. But also what's cool is because we're playing in the Bogz hopes he comes back and destroys everything. Because we're playing in the multiverse too, like we saw with episode 1. There's a lot more opportunities to see Omni-Man in different universes. We saw Mark in another one in the, I never know what to call these, the mid credit, because they do the way they do the credits weird with the show.
Yeah.
So what about you as far as like, with the relationship with Mark and his mom, as well as how they're handling the fallout from Nolan's betrayal? Where's all that sitting with you so far?
So I agree that Nolan's mom doesn't, I mean, Nolan's wife, Mark's mom doesn't have anyone to talk to, whereas Mark, he has his girlfriend, he has his friends, he has his superhero job. So he has places to put his grief or ignore his grief, whereas she really doesn't. Even when she tries to have her job as being a real estate agent, to be able to put as a use of ignoring her grief, even that doesn't work well for her. And then their grief too is different, where the things that they're focusing on, where Debbie is focusing on, like, I was a pet to him, and she still hasn't been able to deal with that or get through with that. But also, it's been a very short time since season 1. It's a long time for us, but a short time for the characters.
It was a month, what they said? Like a couple months, maybe?
Yeah, a month, I think.
Yeah.
And for Mark, his focus is, I'm not my father. And so it's a little different for where their grief is. And for Mark to prove he's not his father, he has to continue to follow Cecil. He has to continue to be a superhero. He has a way to prove that he's not his father, where Debbie doesn't have a way to prove that she wasn't a pet.
Yeah. That's actually, yeah, it's really interesting because Mark is doing the whole, well, my first things first, my dad was never a team player. I'm going to be a team player. I'm going to make nice with the Guardians. I'll make nice with Cecil. Yeah, I'll basically I'll be a pet. I'll be Cecil's pet if it means not making someone else mine. You know, you mentioned, we keep talking about how you guys have mentioned that how Mark's mom doesn't have that outlet the way that Mark does with being a superhero. You know, when you think back to season 1, when Nolan would say things to her like, what do you need the job for? You're the wife of the most powerful man in the world. And she was like, no, I'm not just your wife. Like, I'm my own person. And given the whole pet thing, you know, it really gives you feelings of, you hear and see about this all the times with real world abusive relationships, that isolationism, the idea of keeping someone cut off so they have no support system. In case in point, I mean, other than her son Cecil and the what's his name's wife, who joked about poisoning her after she, you know, came into her house unannounced.
I mean, she's Russian, so
She's Russian. But it's just, she's got no one. She doesn't have anyone because everyone she knows is part of this world she's trying to find an escape from. So yeah, I'm glad you guys brought that up. It's an interesting way of looking at it, and I feel like we're going to see a lot of her, like, you know, with the scene with the cupboard. Like, you know, I remember when my dad died, and like the first thing that broke in the house, and it was like, just God, now we have to deal with this. And so it's that weird reminder of like, normally I could just tell Nolan to deal with this, or or one of those, it's just such a minor inconvenience that it just sets you off. Bogz, you brought up the Atlanta stuff, and the Atlanta stuff was I did not see that coming at all, and I'm glad we're getting to learn more about the Guardians post their brutal demise from last season. What because you said you liked it. What'd you like about this Atlanta thing? Tell us why you liked it.
Well, firstly, I just want to say on how his mother dealt with the cupboard and
Yeah.
all the kind of cutlery and stuff, that's a very human reaction of
Mhm.
how to deal with grief and do that. And obviously, we see Mark's reactions is almost superhero like, not human like, and they obviously split two sides of the coin really, where we see the superhero Nolan part of him, and also the kind of mother. We do see him, be quite kind of cute with his mother at the end. So the two sides of the, trying to find his balance. My favorite B word, and no, the Atlantis whole part. I just like kind of the whole mythology of having an underwater world. Cecil said they control the oceans and things like that. So, and they have obviously a royalty as well. So she was a queen, and having you have to marry the queen because your father's slave. That's just their law. You have to, just like the weirdness of it and the creatures that you would see, and how his powers would work underwater and things like that. So, and what was it? Trial by combat or something. So
Mhm.
just like the whole kind of mythology that connects to other genres and superhero things and just general mythology and stuff. So I did like that, and obviously seeing the kind of monster that he fights with, and then Cecil coming to save him at the end, because that was the best action in the episode. So yeah, I just really liked all that, and it was quite funny as well. Even just the look of the Atlanteans in that kind of world, the actual
Mhm.
fish. Um, him having to, oh, what do I have to do after I get married? I have to consummate that. It was all a bit up in the air. So it was funny, but it was good action as well. So I did enjoy all that.
I always love a doomed royal wedding. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what about you? What do you think of the Atlanta stuff? That again came out of nowhere. What do you think?
yeah. One thing before I forget
Oh yeah.
that I noticed watching like the differences too between Mark and his father is we saw in season 1 where Nolan took Debbie to Italy kind of like, oh, let's go have lunch in Italy.
Mhm.
And then when like trouble came to pass, Nolan's like, oh, they'll be fine. The Guardians will take care of it, or someone else will take care of it. Like, I'm here with my wife. Where you see Mark, he goes on a lunch date with Amber, and then he gets a call from Cecil, and then he's like, gotta go. So the differences between Mark and his father there that we're just seeing in episode 1 and now episode 2. But yeah, the Atlanta stuff was weird and was funny. And then I was watching a few people speak about it, and apparently in the comic, the wedding stuff is actually like what. So they changed it up a little bit for the show. So
Oh,
it's
so in the
actually that
comic they
was
actually do the wedding.
it's a they're supposed to have a wedding, and then they're supposed to consummate in front of everyone. It
I
doesn't
love how
happen.
Cecil's like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's just
fine.
it's
It's
just
fine.
formalities.
Hey, Cecil, I want to do this. You follow my
not real.
orders and you fuck that fish.
Yeah. But so, and then I think like they were saying that it actually ends up there's another person that's in love with the queen, so he makes it seem like he's the one who beats the beast instead of him, so then he ends up fucking the fish queen instead of
read these
Mark.
comics.
So I've never read the comics, but this is
Haven't
what people are saying on YouTube. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I'm like, that is even weirder. I need to read this.
It's Robert
But
Kirkman. That honestly wouldn't shock me.
but yeah, it was all weird. And then there was kind of that moment of like the squeaky toy like thing of like, oh, I won. Can I go now? Oh no, the monster is much bigger. So it was fun.
It was also the fact as well at the end of when he kind of defeats the monster. Well, before he defeats the monster, sorry, as he was leaving, he goes back to save them. And he told Cecil the reason is, they just wanted kind of justice for what happened to their king or whatever. So it shows his humanity. And then after this, he goes to see his mother. So we saw the changing point. And the qualities of a real genuine superhero instead of like a superficial fake one like Omni-Man, a genuine one who has heart, who chose to save the people when he didn't have to. He went out of his way to go save the Atlanteans, and then he went to see his mother afterwards. So we do see the true real qualities of Mark, and he finds his balance kind of in that moment.
Yeah, because Omni-Man would have left them to die.
Sure.
Omni-Man would have said, not my problem. Because it's like almost like the Italy thing you brought up, Soul. Him letting everything just fall to crap behind him was such a power move of him. Like, oh yeah, I can fix this. I don't care. It was that inkling of like, no, he genuinely doesn't care. He's here to do for him. Although I will say the idea of flying to Naples and getting pizza back before the cheese is still bubbling, it's still one of my favorite lines from season 1, and I want that right now. We also get the Martian the thing comes back to play this episode with who ends up becoming a new hero called what is it? Shapesmith is what it is. Who's just the worst and the best at the same time.
The perfect human.
Oh, I was born a totally normal human baby. Man, it is I again have not read the books. I have no idea where they're going with this. So this is something that was set up in the tag of an episode from season 1 that and this is the first time it's coming back. So so the whole Martian thing, are you curious? Are you just like, where are you sitting with this?
It's like just a tie up from season 1. I'm wondering if it's going to be a bigger story or if it's just a side story that's a little funny.
Right.
Especially having this Martian trying to act like a human being and being really bad at it, but people still aren't questioning like, oh, is there something is there something off about him, or is the normal him regularly that weird? And they're like, oh, that's just Mike. He's a weirdo. Like,
yeah, he's weird. He's a weird guy.
Right. So, but he is now looking like he's going to be a part of the Guardians. And that can cause some problems. Whether he's altruistic about wanting to be a hero because he saw the video with Martian Man on this TV, or if it's another type of plan to infiltrate. So that will be interesting what comes to fruition with that.
Yeah, I'm really, because they've made Shapesmith such a cross between like Plastic Man and I don't know, like Booster Gold or something like that. Just the way he behaves is very just yeah. But again, he's a Martian by all accounts baby. Freshly spawned from whatever their spore system is, pretending to be a human based on what I've seen on TV and people do in the office. So
eating frozen pizza.
I mean, look, I had frozen pizza for lunch, but I cooked it first. I'm curious because it did seem like he was truly inspired by Martian Man. Although I'm wondering why he doesn't just make himself look like Martian Man.
Right.
Why?
I thought he was going to do that when he saw that on TV.
Yeah, if you're a shapeshifter and there was all, I don't know. Maybe it might still be in play. It's episode 2. Bogz, what about you with the Martian thing?
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, I thought the same thing as Soul. Like, no one clearly or seemingly clearly believes him. Like, why are they all still going along with it? Especially, Immortal. He seems to be the most, I don't know, just the most experienced Guardian there. And I just thought, they wouldn't take him on board. But especially, obviously, we got to see, a bit of flashbacks, I think, of where his origin a little bit. So we don't know if his plan is, seemingly seems to infiltrate, but he also doesn't seem like he has the brains or the wit or the ability to do that. But speaking of Immortal, I mean, he's obviously clearly distracted with so many girlfriends, kind of thing. So I was a bit surprised with that. And I do want to see more of Immortal as well. He seems to be, because how old he is, how much he's been through, and
He's
the
Abraham
mythology
Lincoln.
that you can add to that. Yeah, exactly. So I do want to see more of him in particular.
And speaking to that, I love that it was a mirror image of Adam Eve walking in on Rexplode and Duplicate, and now it's Rexplode walking in on Immortal and Duplicate, and it was kind of like the same scene but roles reversed.
It's The Dark Knight Rises when Catwoman disappears on Batman mid-sentence, and he's like, oh, so that's what that feels like. Yeah, okay, not great, but also screw Rex. It's fine. Love Jason Mantzoukas. Rex is the worst. I would not be shocked if we have a moment later on this season where like Shapesmith reveals himself to be a Martian, and everyone's like, yeah, we know. You're bad. You're very bad at this. Which is why I think Robot has that moment of like, hey guys, we don't Immortal. Can you not offer him a job without like having a conversation with him first? Because Robot's absolutely right. There's something sus about Shapesmith. Even we're not sure. One of the last things I'll talk about. So we know that, and I'm blanking on his name, the guy who's Cecil's right hand.
Douglas, was it? Wasn't it?
I think it's like Don or Dan.
We were wondering last week, how the hell is this guy back? And now we see that, oh no, that truly is a mystery. There is, because we were like, did we remember the scene wrong? And no,
Donald, I think his name.
Something like that.
Cecil knows. No one else knows.
Cecil knows. Donald. Knows. It is. Yeah, it's Donald. I got it. Yeah, Cecil and Donald. Yeah, he's back, and it is some kind of mystery, and so obviously we're going to get to the bottom of that. Must be a clone or something, or is this a Coulson situation? Did he go to Tahiti like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I was like, I think this is a Phil Coulson thing.
Bogz?
No idea. Yeah, because even his Mark's mum's confused as well. Like, what are you doing here? I do kind of laugh when I see him as well, because he looks like the most ordinary character in the show. Like, it looks like something out of like King of the Hill has just walked onto set. I'm just like, what are you doing here? Yeah, so
it does look like a generic NPC, like in the background. Like, yeah, I don't know. So because I was gonna say, I remember Omni-Man like grabbing him by the spine
You're right.
before
That's how he killed him.
before a
Yeah.
house blew
Yeah.
up. So
And he's like, it's been an honor, so or something, as he died.
yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously,
The
clearly that's
fact too
going
that they
some.
have to live, speaking of the house blowing up, they live across the street now from the house blowing up. Like you couldn't move to a different place so you don't have the reminder there every time you look out the window. It's there in the background in
It-
every scene in the house.
His mom sells houses. She knows it's a shit market right now. So
Mm.
even for her. I do wonder if like at any point they walk around and they're just kind of like, hey, is that a tooth? Oh, Don. Or then Mark's just like, nope, one of mine. They're still falling out. Any other big things you guys like? Any other things maybe about this episode you weren't as on board with? Any particular like nitpicks you guys might have for this one? I don't have anything. I'm like, yeah, it was fine. I don't have anything wrong with it. It was just kind of it was an episode too. So anything for you guys?
Not
Bogz?
really.
Oh.
Yeah, it was kind of in the vein of, is this the best episode of Invincible? No. Was it an enjoyable episode and fun to watch? Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bogz?
Yeah, there's been 2 mid episodes, I'd say. I did prefer the first one over this one, but I could do with more like just general action, more edge of the seat stuff. Like you do get, throughout, the whole of season 1, basically nothing. So far, these 2 episodes are not must watch episodes, especially after season 1. Maybe is that because Omni Man's not in it? Is that because just the story at the minute isn't too gripping? I don't know, but I would like to see a bit more excitement in these episodes, a bit more intrigue as well. I do like the Mauler character as well. Would have liked to seen him with the Levy guy and to see what they're scheming. Obviously, we got a little clip of it in the post credit or mid credit, whatever you want to call it, thing. But I want to know more about it, as opposed to just what we're getting is just let's see how Mark's getting on throughout his day to day and everyone else around him, which is fine because obviously it's a cool universe, but I do want to see more epic things, because obviously the whole Omni-Man inherent thing is to destroy Earth, and we had a kind of whole galaxy kind of important and relevant stuff in season 1, and we're not really getting any of that this episode, so everyone's just kind of going about with what's the leftovers of season 1 and the ramifications of it. But I want to see a bit more exciting stuff. I'm sure we'll get that because there's too much potential to be had, but I wish they got to it like in episode 1 or 2, because like you kind of I don't know, there isn't that kind of, for me, there isn't enough things really to talk about to be like, oh my god, did you see this, did you watch this is must watch stuff like they did in, for example, season 1 episode 1. So there isn't that kind of stuff in these 2 episodes, which is the biggest negative for me. But I am enjoying the show because it's a cool show. But I would like to see a bit more, a bit more spice, basically.
Yeah, it's not bad. Like nothing I've seen has been bad. It's just like where are we going? Because we're only doing 8 episodes this season, and we're only doing 4 episodes before the end of the year, and we're 2 in, and to spend 2 episodes of an 8 episode season doing catch up, 2 long episodes of 45-minute to an hour episodes of catch up is a lot. I feel like, I don't know if it's a pacing issue. Soul, you look like you got a thought on this.
I've heard from people who've seen the first 4 episodes already that episode 4 is crazy.
Okay.
So maybe they're building up to something.
Maybe, and I'm open to that. I hope we're going somewhere there, because I guess I don't have anything negative, but I do hope we're going somewhere, because at the end of 2 episodes, it's like, okay, it took us 2 episodes to figure out where everyone's at right now. Because we also we didn't have Eve at all in the first episode. We had her a lot in this one, and her parents are still the worst, especially her dad. Although the thing with the fallout in Chicago is an interesting development. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that.
So that's what.
Go ahead.
I'll just double down on that. Like even in the season 1, there seemed to be so many just villains and people trying to take down the Guardians, just as the side kind of missions, really. And then you have obviously the bigger story, which is Omni-Man and Mark and stuff. But so like their fights were just so interesting, and they're like civil superhero disputes almost. We've not got any of that stuff really. no really cool villains. Obviously, we've got a new introduction of the whole Levy portal guy, but that's really it. So I definitely want more kind of interesting superhero stuff to add to the lore. I'm definitely missing out on that so far.
And more Seth Rogen. Where's I forget what his character's name is, but like Alan, I think it's Alan the alien. And we know he's because he was in all the trailers. And so I'm curious. And that tease at the end made it seem like, hey man, we got to get ready for the Viltrumites. Okay, well, we're 2 episodes in. Let's go.
Do you think possibly that meeting hasn't happened yet in like that post-credit scene was a little bit in the future and Alan hasn't come back to Earth yet to warn Mark in the timeline of season 2?
Oh, you mean like they're pulling an Ahsoka where the first episode was almost like a little.
I didn't watch any of Ahsoka, so I don't know.
There's a time jump in Ahsoka.
Oh.
Sorry. But that is an interesting point. I do wonder if that's the case where that, yeah, because I gotta I gotta go back and watch.
Mark felt a little bit more. He felt less like in his feelings when he was talking to him at the end of season 1. So actually, I feel like that's a little further up.
Actually, I don't mean to be rude, but I can disprove it because the last line of that episode is, I don't know, I guess I'll go finish high school, I guess. And then Alan's like, well, what's high school? Graduated. So that was, yeah. Damn. Otherwise I like that. Otherwise I like that theory, but yeah. So I mean, I guess it's coming. So, and again, we're only 2 episodes in. I know we still have 6 more to go. But after 2 hours into the season, it's like let's go. All right. Anybody else got any final thoughts? I think that's where I'm at with this. Everybody's looking. Yeah, it's a good episode. Just okay. Let's go now. All right, cool. We're introduced. We're back. We're in. Let's go. Let's do the thing. Make sure you guys are enjoying the show. We're glad to be back. All of us. We're glad the show is back at long last, and we'll check it out next week. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell, like the video. Let us know what you thought down below of this one, and we'll see you guys again next week with another episode review for Invincible season 2 here on Off the Wall. Bye, everybody.